I now have definitive proof that some patriots, some war heroes, and some servants willing to give their life for America have no concept of what the Constitution means or what it represents. Every right spelled out in it must be treated equally. But sadly, retired Air Force Colonel Dean Windslow, a man who is being considered for Assistant Secretary of Defense for Health Affairs, refuses to grasp this basic concept. He joins the ranks of far too many anti-gunners that view the Second Amendment as a mere suggestion, not a God-given right. Colonel Winslow should be ashamed of himself. He spelled out his strong anti-gun views in a piece for the Washington Post titled, "I spoke my mind on guns, then my Senate confirmation was put on hold." He not only spoke his mind, but in front of a United States Senate committee, he voiced his extreme opposition to our fundamental right of self-protection. This from someone who's supposed to be dedicated to protecting our freedoms, not snatching them away. During his hearing, he called ownership of the most common rifle in America, the AR-15, insane. Listen.
And I may get in trouble with other members of the committee, just say, how insane it is that in the United States of America, a civilian can go out and buy a semi-automatic assault rifle like an AR-15, which apparently was the weapon that was used. And I think that's an issue not as much for this committee, but elsewhere. So again, obviously,
Dr. Winslow, I don't think that's in your area of responsibility or expertise.
Well, thank you, Senator John McCain, for interrupting an anti-gun rant that had no place during this hearing. And did you hear what Colonel Winslow did? He nearly said fully automatic. Listen again. This is what we call a gun hater's tell.
A civilian can go out and buy a semi-automatic assault rifle.
You see that? Right there. He's like the golden girls of gun control, Nancy Pelosi and Dianne Feinstein. He clearly fails to make the distinction between semi-automatic and fully automatic, a very important distinction, mind you. Fully automatic firearms are weapons of war. Semi-automatic firearms are not even close, and he should know better. This is a colonel who led men into battle, and God bless him for it. But he has no concept or understanding that the AR-15 is not only a terrific home defense gun, but it's widely used by hunters and tactical sport shooters. And it is not anything even comparable to the fully automatic military rifle, like the M16 he insists he was so proficient at using. Either way, he can say it's insane that you and I can buy an AR-15. But when he calls into question the fundamental right of gun owners to protect themselves, why is he surprised he faces consequences for those actions? Maybe his appointment as Assistant Secretary of Defense is being held up not because he spoke his mind, as he claims, but because his mind is filled with liberal anti-gun ideologies. Remember, President Trump is clearly a pro-Second Amendment president. Why would he want anyone in his administration who doesn't support our rights? All of them. The fact is, Colonel Dean Windslow brings shame upon himself. He may be well-intentioned, but it's heartbreaking, and it's a disappointment to see a man who clearly loves America to be so confused about the principles of freedom that our nation was built on. In his piece for the Post, he makes it clear, quote, "I do not support the unrestricted ownership of semi-automatic assault weapons by civilians." You see, even he uses the liberal propaganda term assault weapon. Let me leave no room for error. I do not support the appointment of anyone who fails to grasp what our Constitution says and means to any position in government. So listen to me carefully. Warriors turned bureaucrats who forget what they once fought for are dangerous. Our freedoms are precious. The appointment of Colonel Winslow into the Defense Department would be like putting a wolf in the henhouse. Yes, the media will jump to defend Colonel Winslow. They will use his words of advice as he preaches to us as if he knows best, insisting a pump-action 12-gauge shotgun with its excellent stopping power would be far better than an AR-15, he says. But who is he to dictate what's best for us? I believe his appointment was held up because he exposed himself as an anti-gun elitist with ultra-liberal views on guns. How dare he declare what is best for my family and I when it comes to self-protection? We cannot have an Assistant Secretary of Defense unwilling to defend the Constitution. I'm glad he withdrew his name from consideration Apparently, he's okay with it too, telling readers, quote, "I have no regrets. Having semi-automatic weapons makes no sense." That kind of liberal anti-gun lunacy has no place in government, much less the highest levels of it. So, Colonel Winslow, I have a message for you. Owning an AR-15 makes complete sense. And while I want to thank you for your service to this great nation, what would have been insane is if the Senate actually confirmed you.